That was
Why did you
terrible.
listen? See,
Yeah, it
Cheeky, why you
was.
have to put him on the spot like that? You know what I'm saying? We could have just moved on
Wait,
past
the
it.
reason why is because T.I. need to know he not funny too. Everybody got to know now before it's too late.
Yeah.
All right, so Sway's still muted. So I'm gonna just give him okay, I'm gonna just respond, right? So um so you guys make some good points, right? I think about the culture and whatnot. But I guess even in your point, Cheeky, you still and I'm not saying you did this intentionally, but you still to a certain extent disregarded an important aspect of socialization, right? Because like I said, right. So when I take the example of my cousins, right? Okay, I mean I mentioned Miami, right? But I got the same on my mom's side in New York, in Brooklyn, and whatnot. And all they know, I'm talking about, dudes that all they know is this culture. Like to them, like what we would consider Haitian culture, maybe beyond just maybe like when it comes to the food and whatnot. You know what I'm saying? So obviously they still eat like they still get to eat Haitian food and stuff like that. But they still out like most of their friends are what we consider FBA ADOs. There's no like, in fact, here's what's actually funny about it, right? What I find interesting is that a lot of times, like since we're talking about Haitians, they'll go to Haiti. If they do go to Haiti, right? Haitians will look at you as if you're as if you're white. You know what I'm saying? As if because you're so detached from Haitian culture. So and it's like in America they're telling you, I guess in this discussion the ADOS and FBA are telling you no, you have your own culture. But in Haiti, Haitians are like you don't talk like us, you don't understand us, you don't understand our environment, you don't understand any like. And so for them, all they really do know is American Black culture. All they do know is American Black culture, maybe minus the food, maybe minus the, I guess maybe just like they can speak a little bit of Creole. Like I got cousins who can't even speak Creole. You know what I'm saying? They can't speak Creole. They got, my auntie is Haitian, right? Grew up in Haiti, came to America, I think in her 20s, auntie I'm thinking about, right? And none of her kids can speak Creole. You know what I'm saying? They don't know jack shit about Haitian culture. You know what I'm saying? They don't know anything about Haitian culture. They can't speak the language. They probably don't even know much of the history unless they studied it themselves and whatnot. So all they know is American is what we would consider Black American culture. And yet and if they go to Haiti, Haitians would look at them and say, we don't recognize you. You American. You know what I'm saying? They would say we don't recognize you. But then in America, in the FBA, the ADOS discussion, they're gonna be like, you're not Black, or you're not you have your own culture. And they're like, what culture? What are you talking about? All I know is America. All I know is this culture here. So that's what I mean by socialization. It's not just talking to them. It's like you're growing up in that environment. All you know is that environment, right? And this is one of the things for me where I'm like, a lot of times when I hear these discussions, even on a personal level, Big Mike said this a moment ago, and we had the same conversation in person. Like, you wouldn't go to Haiti or Jamaica or whatnot and make certain statements. But one of the things for me that makes me feel that I can make those statements is because I was in the same environments. And I actually do participate in the outcomes, right? So, like, in other words, the fact that I got stabbed as a kid, right, in the hood, I got stabbed as a kid in the same environment as a bunch of other kids. We were all just Black boys at the time. I didn't know none of this ADOS and FBA stuff. We were just all Black boys in the hood.
I got a question. Hold on, Jonathan. Did you know
let
the Haitian?
let him rock. Let him rock.
I just got to ask, just right there. Did you know the Haitian stuff though?
Like what? Like
you knew you were Haitian at that point in time, right? Exactly. Go ahead. Keep on going.
Okay, so I'm just saying. Okay, so like if the fact that I got stabbed, right? The fact that I've lived in these neighborhoods. I went to the same schools. Like we never looked at each other and think, oh, you different from me. I never had those like you different from me kind of interactions. Like it just wasn't a part of this. Like this narrative is mostly online. So when somebody's like, okay, you can't talk about this, I'm like, but the outcomes actually affect me, right? Like if I can, if it would be one thing if the outcomes and like if the environment doesn't affect me at all, if I'm completely detached from it, and you're like, okay, you're just coming in and making your comments, but it's like I'm considered Black. Like if you look at any statistic, right? There's no stats that focus on ADOS or FBA. Any statistics that say Black, they typically just go by what box did you check, right? So that means any statistics about Black people, I'm involved in that, right? Any statistics, anything about the environment, I'm part of that. but yet somehow I'm supposed to be part of that, and I'm paying the same taxes as you, I'm doing all that, but yet I can't comment on it. I can't comment on the dysfunction that I had to experience myself, that I had to actually suffer from myself. I can't comment on it, because if I comment on it, then somehow I have something against ADOS or FBA. But it's like, no, I actually had to live this myself. I had to suffer this myself.
I got to push back, Jonathan. Now, what is it that you said to me in the place? What is it that you said to me that initially set me off about this situation, in which I told you couldn't comment from that angle? You said that Black Americans, you made the delineation, don't take advantage of opportunities. You made
no, that's not what I said. That's not what I said.
You made that delineation. Yeah, that's what I said.
No. You took it out of context there a bit. I know what you're referring to. That's not what I said, though. I would have never said it like that. What I was saying was basically what you were, because we were talking about the fact that, I basically made the statement that America is a land of opportunity, right? And people, and I made the statement on this platform before, that tons of people across the world risk their lives, break up their families, and do whatever it takes to try to get into America, because they look at it as this is the land where I can change things, for myself, for my family. I can get better outcomes, right? And so a lot of times what I'll hear is a lot of the narratives, even, I used to be a social justice activist myself. I used to be on the left side, right? And like a lot of the narratives that I was pushing, that I was hearing around me, they were very anti-American. They're very like, America's the worst place in the world, basically, right? And it's like, it's almost like we have blinders to the fact that people are literally risking their lives to come here. So what I was saying was that when I hear people making these, making comments about, America, disregarding the fact that this is the land of opportunities, and then yet you will say, ADOS and FBA people, built this land, built the infrastructure. Then if you built the infrastructure, right? If you built this land, if you made it what it is, why would you not be the first person to take advantage of it, as strongly as other groups are coming in and taking advantage of it, right? That's essentially the point I was making. I didn't say they don't do it, because again, I mean, I'm literally working with, ADOS, FBA brothers all day, every day. I see tons of successful Black men.
I know you do, because we're taking advantage of it stronger. We're taking more advantage of it than anybody else. I know that's shocking to you, Jedi Mike, based off of the talking points. But Black Americans get it, dog. I don't care what nobody say. People from here, we take advantage of opportunity. We get it. That's pretty funny. Go ahead and tell me why you.
Jedi, you gotta counter with a point.
Yeah, you gotta counter with a point.
No, okay, listen, no, okay. It was the way you just came up, your rebuttal. This, I'm like, okay, you understand that in terms of immigrants, in terms of I'm in college right now, right? I can guarantee you, in terms of the divide between, in terms of African immigrants, in terms of African Americans, in terms of value education and things that unfortunately African Americans take for granted, because unfortunately, on the receiving end, which what Jonathan was talking about, that he's actually lived no experiences, that unfortunately that him taking the opportunities was either life or death for him. And so that's why when we have these situations, when you have these opportunities presented to you, honestly, you see an urge for education, urge of in terms of self-discipline, and taking the extra mile to actually achieve the steps that they want to get to where they want to go. But yeah, unfortunately, African Americans, what happened is that I don't want to use the term lazy, but they just take it for granted.
We don't take it for granted. We've been cut out of it, bro. But even though still, we got more HBCUs here than I'm sure y'all got in Nigeria. I'm sure y'all don't have as many colleges in Nigeria as we have HBCUs. The thing about the education, we don't take it for granted. We know it's bullshit. See, what I teach my son about school, or what I taught my son about school, the same thing my mom taught me about school. It's a game, son. If your history teacher says that Christopher Columbus discovered America in 1492, he sailed the ocean blue, and you know that's not the case, you still got to put that on the test. Education is a game in the United States. It's not the key to anything. You might make money, but that's the only thing you're gonna get out of it. But it's a game you play to make money. It doesn't make you better.
No. You're not saying the term making you better. What I'm saying, the fact is that you're talking when we have structure, it went rooted to the back of the things that consist. I'm not saying that all that's African Americans. It's not in terms of generalization. I'm saying in terms of consistently what I've seen, just from in terms of micro level, that when we have situations that opportunities are presented, right, you see it's like night and day. And I'm not trying to be terminally biased in terms of my culture, but I can honestly tell you that there's situations here where it's night and day where we as our culture we don't take things for granted. Or unfortunately, I see a lot of African Americans what we have done, and it breaks my heart. I'm not trying to say you guys ain't shit and all this other stuff like that. It breaks my heart.
You called us lazy, man.
No, I didn't say I didn't want to use the term.
But
no,
the word lazy coming out your mouth, talking about
I
us.
did not. No. I said I didn't want to.
He doesn't want to use the term lazy.
Okay. Well,
he never said we all
don't
lazy.
even allude to the term lazy when it comes to African Americans.
But
is what I'm saying.
But Big Mike. So I would agree with you on that last point, right? But the main point that Jedi Mike is making, I think is a valid point, and it's really where I'm coming from, which is the fact that we take things for granted. Like that's one of the things that for me, coming from the left, I had to snap myself out of it, because I would look at things, I'm like, wait a minute, like why are my sentiments, like why am I essentially always shitting on America? And it's like I'm sitting here like realizing that I think I shared this on this platform before. I remember I was on WhatsApp with one of my cousins, right? And during the pandemic, and she was on the phone like trying to, I probably shouldn't say too much about this, but she was trying to basically see if I could, if me or my nuclear family, if we could somehow find a way to help her come into America, right? Because of how situations were and whatnot. And just from talking to her and just thinking like, because I'm not going to give the details of where she was coming from, but just realizing how to her, like she's thinking about how coming to America would literally be a game changer for her. Like it would be like winning a lottery ticket. That's how she saw it. That was really how she was looking at it. And then I'm sitting here thinking like, while she's over here like wishing she could be here, we got tons of people that are living here taking everything this country has to offer for granted, taking so much of it for granted and not using it to the fullest, right? And instead, a lot of what you're hearing are these very anti-American sentiments, or these very like, we're oppressed and everything's against us and whatnot. Meanwhile, all these other groups can come from, from everywhere, and they're like, yeah, I'm gonna come to America and take advantage of this system. I'm gonna take, like, even as simple as like being able to start a business. Like most people don't realize how hard it is to actually start a business in most countries across the world. Like, it's actually very hard. You know what I'm saying? It's very hard to start a business. Most countries across the world, like most people are operating against the law technically. Like even in Haiti, a lot of these merchants and whatnot, they don't have legit businesses. You know what I'm saying? They don't have legit businesses. They because to start a business, the amount of capital you would need, most people don't have it.
But why aren't y'all sending that back?
Sending what back?
Why aren't y'all sending the capital back to where y'all are from? That's what I'm saying. Like you say, we take stuff for granted. But here's the deal. We're in our country. We're in the place that we're native to. We're putting up with all types of different things. We've put up with all type of different things through history.
But what about right now?
Taking what for granted? You have a whole country somewhere. Your family has a whole country somewhere where your great-great-grandparents are in the ground at. You see what I'm saying? So,
but this is my home. This is my home. America's my home.
I get it.
Yeah.
But who's taking what for granted? That's all I'm saying is you have to be careful with the charges that you're leveling against other people.
I just told you a lot of, by the way, here's actually an important point I want to make. By the way, it's not just ADOS and FBAs that are taking things for granted that have these sentiments. Like I said, I myself was a social justice activist, and I was out here making a lot of the same arguments, like doing the same things that I'm talking against right now. And not only that, a lot of the people I used to organize with, like one of the main organizers, she was Nigerian. You know what I'm saying? One of the main organizers who would, organize these protests against police brutality and all this stuff. Like, it's not just, we just talk about Black people or people in general who are in this country, right? I think a lot of ADOS and FBA folks make it about themselves, right? But really, we're just talking about just the overall sentiment of anybody who could be in this country and not take advantage of it to the fullest, right? Because like I said, even I was doing the same thing.
And think about it, y'all aren't talking about the white folks that's here not taking advantage of
Yes,
what
we
they
do.
got too.
If you let, yes,
I mean,
I
but-
absolutely will.
But
Like if you
you
listen,
didn't talk about that.
listen, if
Then
you
you
are
didn't
a
talk
white,
about
if
it.
you're a white person and you're not taking advantage of this, everybody, literally anybody,
I'll call
anybody.
Cap.
Say what?
I'll call Cap. Oh nah. I'm sorry. I'm calling Cap on that.
Cheeky, you have been on panels with me where I literally
Yeah,
talk
yeah,
about.
I'm
y'all
not
on
talking about
level with
JB.
the
We're not
system.
personalizing this. I think in a very general sense. I call Cap on that. Most immigrants, whenever, especially black immigrants, they never have their criticism charged toward any particular group of people besides black people.
Okay,
Honestly.
but is okay, fair enough. But is there a reason behind that?
Yeah, with the competition.
Well,
No,
that's
that's
not what
not
I.
the reason. It's because of the active dysfunction that we all see.
No,
The active dysfunction.
but you can't see the dysfunction in Haiti.
Sure. Yes.
Okay,
Absolutely.
why don't
That's
you
that's
talk
why.
about
That's
that?
why. That's why. I'm
That's
choosing.
what I'm
Hold up.
saying.
Hold up. Yes. Absolutely.
Like,
That's
dude.
why. Listen. This is why I'm choosing. This is why. I am grateful that I'm in America. That's my point. See, here's the point. Here's the thing that I find funny about this. Anytime somebody's like, "But Haiti," they don't realize they're making my point. They don't realize they're making my point. Anytime somebody says, "But Haiti," you're making my point, because my very point is that's the reason why I'm grateful that I am in this country, that I'm not in Haiti right now. Right? Anytime I listen to the news, like I was just talking to my pops. My dad knows somebody right now who's literally being held hostage because she was kidnapped. You know what I'm saying? She was kidnapped right now. This like kidnappings are happening like literally every day in Haiti right now. Right?
So-
and so,
so-
I was just talking to my pops about that. So yes, I'm happy that I'm here and not in Haiti. So
Right.
like, every time somebody says "but Haiti," you're making my point, because literally the point I'm making is that this country right here offers you so many opportunities.
No.
Offers you, like a big part of why a lot of what's going on in, let's say, Haiti. Since we're gonna bring that,
Dude,
let's talk about it.
Do you realize the terrorism we faced here?
Hold up. Before
I'm
we get
talking
to
about
that,
you talking about
Big
getting
Mike,
kidnapped.
before we
What
get to
about
that,
45, 50
Big
people
Mike,
getting
before we get
lynched
to that,
at one
before we get
time?
to that,
Come on, man.
before we get to that, let's address the actual Haiti thing, right? One of the main reasons, for example, that a lot of these things that take place in Haiti is because of poverty. Is because these people don't have access to a lot, right? They don't have opportunities. Like I got a cousin in Haiti who's a excellent singer. Guess what? His ass is gonna stay in Haiti, and he's not gonna get any American Idol or any of the stuff that any way that he can really make real bread off of singing. But yet, guess what? He's still an excellent singer, and he's known in certain parts of Haiti as a great singer. But he doesn't have the opportunities. Even see in America, we'll shit on the 360 deals, right? My cousin wish he could get a 360 deal. You know what I'm saying? So we're
That's
just
the
talking about
That's
the
difference,
opportunities
but
that
we
you
all
have
know a
here.
360 is a bad deal in the long run, right?
Say what?
We all know 360 is a bad
Yes, that's
deal
my
in the
point.
long run.
My
Exactly.
point is, like, it's so even that is an opportunity to most people across the world, right?
But if I don't want to take that, you can't level a criticism against me because I'm not going to take a 360 deal.